Hello everyone, today I am going to do the 9th video of my web development practical video series. Let's go to our question list. Here you can see under day 1 I did a video to discuss the question 8 and then today I am going to discuss the question 9. Let's go to our question. Here you can see, here's the question 9. I'm going to read it first and then see my answer. You have to develop signing and sign up process to school management system for ABC school website. The interface given below. Okay, we have to create a form in order to sign in people and giving ability to log in to our website using or creating this kind of form. You can see they given a sample form. We have to follow these rules when we are creating our login page, and then here in the next part, web page should be responsive. Create a database for storing. Okay, first I'm going to show you my interface. I created that interface and connect databases and write the whole query, but first I'm going to show you my design. Let's go to our answer. Here you can see when we go to the answer, here's my design. These are two forms to register and then login. You can see here's the title ABC Institute, and let's see whether this form is responsive or not. You can see when I am changing the size, the program or our web application changes its design relevant to the screen size in order to show all the data in our forms. So here you can see I create this website as a responsive web page, and then let's go to our answer. Let's go back, and now you can see create a database for storing data. Okay, we have to create a database in order to store the data of these registered people or users. Here you can see there are guidelines to create our database. These are the attributes and we should insert these attributes in order to gather our information. Here's the title and this is the data type Vacha. That means that in this attribute, I will show you in a moment, this attribute, the attribute called title in our database will hold a string value. Here's the length of the value. A single value can store up to 6 characters as a string or in string value in our attribute called title. And then here's the first name and then the last name. You can see all of them are in Vacha form, and first name and last name can store up to 50 characters in a single cell. And then the gender you can see, and here's the DOB. You can see the difference between the data types in gender and DOB. The DOB, which is the date of birth, will hold only a value in date form, like year, then month, then date. And here's the contact number. You can see only 10 characters will store in a single cell in contact number 1 and 2. And here's the email. You can see it defined as a primary key. Email is the primary key in this database, and here's the data type Vacha, and character length is 50. And then password. Then here you can see the I think this is the address field. The address field break down to 4 parts: number, street 1, street 2, and then city. Okay, create database connection between web page and database. That's the next part. First I'm going to show you the database I created. For that we can use the official software called Workbench, MySQL Workbench, and also we can use a third-party software like HeySQL browser. I'm going to show you the HeySQL software. Here you can see the HeySQL software, and here's my database, and then here's the table or relation called user inside the database. You can see I insert all the attributes or defined all the attributes inside this table. Here's the email, that's the primary key, that's why I put that in the top of the attribute list. You can see in the this is the golden arrow, golden key mark that represent this attribute is the primary key, and you can see all the data types and the character lengths and the names are inserted into our database list, attribute list, and these are the this is the form of our table. Let me show you the table. I can go to the data tab, and here's the table. I insert some values into this table. Here you can see this is the form which will insert or record our registered user details into this table. And let's go to our question. You can see create a database connection between web page and database. Okay, and now I'm going to show you the code I created. This I used to create this web page, and here's the code. Let me go to the index page. Here's the index page of our answer, and you can see here are the forms. Let me go to the bottom. Here's the login page. You can see login, and then in the bottom part here's the form, or here's the input field to enter the email and the password when there's a login or when there's a already registered user. He can use his email and password to log in to this system. And here's the button, the login button. Let's go down. Here's the registration form. We had to put those through two forms into the same PHP file because you can see in the answer. Let me go to the answer. In the answer, we have to show the two register forms in a single page. So let's go to our code again. Here I don't think I have to go through all the input fields. You already know what are the input fields in our database. And then let me go to the process. This is the registration process. In the registration process, but before, let's go to our index PHP file again. You can see all the input fields are given an ID, and then let me show you the JavaScript file. Here you can see I assign all the elements or the input fields to JavaScript variables like this. You can see in the top of the file using document.getElement by ID, and then the ID name. I assigned all the input fields to a JavaScript variable, and then here are the functions. You can see get details function. This is the function. Let me show you the button. Here you can see when the user insert their data and then press the register button, you can see get details function is the function that will execute when someone click on the register button. And let's go to our JavaScript file again. you can see the elements we assign to a new JavaScript variable. I get the value out of that element and assign them to a new JavaScript variable and stored them as variables. And then you can see I created a form, new form data. This is the form object. We call that form object and append our values in the input fields to that form. You can see form.append. I append the values one by one to that form, and here's you can see this is the Ajax object. We use Ajax in order to pass through data to the server side. We usually the default method. In the default method, the browser we can use a form method, or in the index.php file we can create a form and then submit those details using a button. But if you use that method, the browser will change its tab, or it will change the browser will redirect the user to the PHP file in the server side, and then after the process is complete, again it will change its or redirect the user to the next file. But if you use that method, the page will redirect every time you move or send details to the server side, so that will be annoying to the user or the client. That method will not the best user-friendly method to use. But in Ajax form, we can use the Ajax form to send details into the server side without annoying, or with a good user-friendly method, because if you use this method, when the user submit the data into the server side, his form or his web page will not be reloaded. The data will be sent to the server side without knowing the client, and then after the process he will redirect to the next page automatically. So that's why I use the Ajax method. You can see here I created a new Ajax XML HTTP request. This is the Ajax object, and then you can see I transferred these details to the process.php file in the form method. Yes, you can see open in the open method. Here I mentioned the method. I am sending these details, and the destination, here's the process.php file, and true means we are using Ajax method. If you use the keyword false, that means the Ajax method. In this video I am not going to describe what the difference between Ajax and Ajax. For now we use Ajax method. That's why I use true keyword, and then here we are sending the data, we are sending the form, so that's why I assign the form object to the send method. If you use the get method, I explained the difference between post method and the get method in my previous videos. But if you use the get method, that will combine or join the details or data to the URL and then send to the server side. But that's not a very good method if you want to send or transmit the data securely, because if you use the URL to send the data, anyone can view that data, but if you use the post method, it will go in the body of the message. So it will go hidden to the other people, other parties in the network. So that's the JavaScript file, index JavaScript file. And let's go to our process file. This is the place I'm going to show you how I connect the database to our web page and then feed the data into that into our database. Let me show you the question. Let's go back. Here you can see create a database connection between web page and database. That's the next part. That's one of the things we have to follow in order to complete this question. So let me show you the code, and you can see here's the connection. In the top of the process.php file, you can see this variable $DBMS, that means database connection equal, and here's the database connection. You can see I use the object oriented method. This is the new MySQL. You can see new MySQLi, and then I mentioned the IP address. In this case, the database is located in my local host. That's why I use the word localhost. Or you can, if your database in a separate or remote server, you can use the IP address to call that database. And then here's the username. I'm giving that the root access, and here's the password. And then you can see this is the database name. We are going to insert this data, and here's the port. 3306 is the port we are using to the port that uses by the MySQL server, and that's the connection. So let's go to our question. Here, use form submitting method to pass this data to the server side. Okay, I already explained how I submit the data using the form method. You see that in the, let me show you again. In the JavaScript file, I created a form object and then submitted all the details into that form, and then I sent that form using the Ajax method to the server side, which is the process.php file. Here's the process.php file, and that data will come in the post method to this side of the this web page. And this web page, if you use a PHP file to calculate this data, these calculations, you can see I use the DBMS connection and the if conditions or if blocks in my file. This file will not going to show, or this file cannot be visible in the client side. This file will only execute in the server side. So that's why I use PHP, and then I completed this one and described the connection, how I create the connection to the connection between web page and database. And then here's the next one: check whether this data sent to the server side. Okay, for that one I used echo to echo this data, and then when the data is if there's any data, the data will be shown in using the JavaScript file as an alert, but in this case I remove that one. Here you can see in alert the text will redirect the output in the process.php file. Let me clarify that. If you use the Ajax object, and then when the data is sent to the server side and the process in that server side PHP file is ended, and the output, if there's any output, that output will be stored in a variable called text in the client side as a string value. So that's why I use this one. Then we can, let me show you, we can create an alert and then feed that text to the alert, and then if the when you press the register button, the process the data will be sent to the server side, and if there's any data, that will show the alert as the response. But in this case, I'm going to show you, I completed the whole answer, so I'm not going to change that one, but let me go to the answer and show you how that works. When someone write those details, let me register someone, let's add some name, and here's the date, okay, and here's the email address, and here's the password. Now I'm going to leave this address empty and then press the register button. There will be an error if the form is not completed. That way you can see, let me show you the process.php file. If you go to the process.php file, you can see in these if blocks, or in these if blocks, all the data will be validated. You can see this is a long if block and if and else if method to validate the details of input fields in our form. You can see all the fields are validated in our table. Here's you can see empty first name. There will be an error. The data will not going to be inserted to the database. Here's the error, empty first name. That will show if there's an empty first name, and then here you can see if the character length is above 50 in the first name, there's another error will pop up. First name is too long. Like that, all the details or all the input fields are validated in my registration form. Let me show you. If I left the input fields in address form, let's click on the register button. You can see form incomplete, please fill every field. You need to fill all the fields in order to register this user. Like that, only these data were sent to that process.php file, but that's not enough. We have to complete all the fields. So let me give an like that we can complete this form, and let's register this user. You can see there's a error in the mobile field, invalid mobile format in contact number. Let's see. You can see there's an error in the mobile field. I use 017 like that. The common phone number without the country code, but you can see in the process.php file here frag match, and here's the pattern, and you can see in the contact number 1 and 2 I validate those details to enter the mobile number with the country code. Let me change the mobile number and show you how that works. If I change you can see another error. I use invalid symbol in my contact number 2 field. Let's change that to the country code. Here I change the country code, and let's execute this one. You can see there's another error. Password must contain 8 to 12 characters with special characters and upper lower cases. Okay, the password is wrong, in a wrong format, so let's enter the correct one. Here's here I'm entering numbers, and then upper character and a lower character and a special character, and let's register this one. Okay, you can see person registered. Now let's see our Anura Rajamantri is will inserted to our database, but before that you can see if the person registered successfully, all the fields will automatically reset to another insert or register another person. So that's another function in my answer. Let me go to the database and let's refresh this one. You can see when I refresh the table, Anura Rajamantri is inserted to our database. Now you can see my registration form works well, and here are the validations. I validate all the details, and that's how we know the data are passed to the server side. And that's the answer for that part of the question. We answered to this part. Check whether these data are sent to the server side. Write a SQL query for insert this data to database. Okay. Let me go to the process.php file again. You can see here's the query. I used a PHP variable and then assign the query to that PHP file to that will make the work easy. Here's the query: insert into user. That's the table. We don't need to we don't need to mention our database, because in the connection we mention the database. So only that database will access when the data are inserted and search and delete like that. So insert into user, and here are the values. I inserted all the values which came as the form method. You can see in the form method all the fields will be sent to this file, and I assign all the values in that fields to new PHP variables, and all the variables are assigned as the values in our query, insert query. And after that you can see DBMS and then query. Here's the insert query. This is the code we used to execute. We used to command the PHP file to access the connection and insert the data using our query. And when this command line executed, the data will be inserted to our database, and after that you can see I echoed a value to show or to indicate the data are inserted correctly. When the output is number 1, that will trigger our JavaScript file, and then you can see this part. If the text means the output in the PHP file is equal to 1, this alert, the person registered, and then reset field function will execute. And if there's any error, if the output is not equal to 1, only the alert in this else block will execute it. You can see in that alert we are showing the text come from the process.php file. That means that you can see in these fields these are the error codes. So these error codes will show if the value is not equal to 1 in the output. So that's the input query. Let's go to our next part of the question. After successfully registering a person, all input fields in sign up area should be empty. I already done that part. You saw how I entered the details and then resetted the fields are reset automatically. Okay, we done that part, and then in sign in area, user can be signed in to website using correct username and password, otherwise show error message. Okay, in this case, that's why we use, let me show you that part. We use this form, the login form. The user can log into our site using his email, registered email, and the password. So let's register someone. Let's log in from someone's account who already registered to this site. I'm using this kamaranath@gmail.com account. Let's copy this one and paste that into our database. I'm using a false password to see what happened when the password is incorrect. Let's press the login button. You can see login failed error. That means there's an error in our login form. Let's enter the correct password. Let's go to a password. You can see let's copy that one and paste that in our login form. Okay, here I paste my password, and let's press login button. You are logged in. That's the alert will show up after if you enter the values correctly. So that means we are logged into our site. You can see we redirect to another page. Hello Kamaranath. That means this is a dynamic page. The name of the of this login page or the welcome page will be changed according to the person who logged in. His name or her name will be shown in this part, in this page. We can also log out from this site. You can see when I press the logout button, I automatically redirect to the login and registration page. Now let's go to our question. Let's go to our question. Let me go to the index page, the question. Okay. Okay, here's the question, and I use the sign in method or login method to log a user, and if there's an error, I show the message what will show up as the error message. And here's the last part. Every input fields should be validated both sign in and sign up areas. I showed you. Let me go to the process.php file. I showed you the validations here. You can see all the fields are validated. The first name, last name, gender, DOB, contact numbers, and the password fields, and also the email field. Like that, all the fields are validated, and also the address field. Every fields are validated. And let's go to our answer, and let me show you the login process. Here's the login process. This is the process that will process our email address and the password and search our database if there's a user registered within these using this email address and password, and if there's a user, that will show you can see in the if method that will echo a value 1, and if there's an error, the error message will be echoed. Let me go to the JavaScript file, and in the JavaScript file, here's the login part in the JavaScript file. I use the same JavaScript file I used to write the registration function. I use the login function in the same file, and here's the login function. You can see I use the Ajax method to submit the details to the login process file, which is the file that executed in the server side. And then the process is completed, the output will store in the text in a variable called text as a string value, like in the registration form. And if the value is equal to 1, the message will show you are logged in, and then go to index page. Index page means the welcome page. And if there's an error, if the text is not equal 1, this alert will show login failed, and then the error message. You can see the output will be showed with the text login failed. Let me go to the login process again. You can see here are the login process file, and if the post method, in the post method, if the data both user email address and the user password are missed, or one of them are missed, the error message will be showed fields incomplete. Let me show you that one. If I press the login button without any data inside the email field and the password field, login failed error will show up again. So that's how my page works. Let me go to the question. Again. Okay, you can see that those are the rules, or those are the things we have to follow in order to complete this question 9. So that means we completed question 9, and I think that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching.